UFC 267 main event of the evening. Jan Blachowicz, the Polish powerhouse, defends his light heavyweight strap against Glover Teixeira. Hello everybody and welcome to the grand finale of the UFC 267 series. Today I'll be breaking down the main event for the night, the light heavyweight showdown between Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira. Now this is a title matchup and it'll be very interesting to understand how both these gentlemen arrived at this juncture. Let's take a look at our competitors, starting with the challenger, Glover Teixeira. Now Glover has had a very long climb to get back to this second title shot. I mean, Glover's been in the title picture, or at least a part of that picture, for over 7 years now. The first time he went up against Jon Jones 7 years ago in an attempt to be crowned the champion, he was disappointed when Jones took home a unanimous decision over 5 rounds. And since then, Glover has tried to get back to the top contenders position and challenge for the belt again, but he's run into some hurdles from time to time. I mean, he got knocked out by Rumble Johnson, he got knocked out by Alexander Gustafsson, and it's been a bit of a stop, start and go kind of approach for Glover since then. However, if we take a look at his last 5, the man's got a perfect record and he finally was able to get enough momentum to get back in title contention. Now let's focus on his last few fights. He's had some very impressive performances, but at the top of that list are his 2 finished victories over top contenders Anthony Lionheart Smith and of course Thiago Marreta Santos. His fight against Lionheart Smith was a very interesting one. When that fight started out, it looked like Anthony Smith, the younger, more energetic and vibrant fighter, was going to take off and leave Glover in the dust. But what ended up happening was Anthony was getting instructions from his corner, and in the absence of a crowd, he could hear everything and perhaps a bit too much, which meant he burnt himself out too early in the fight. And Glover, being the veteran that he is, his experience, his knowledge and understanding of the game really came through. He paced himself, outlasted Anthony Smith, and ended up finishing the Lionheart over a painful 3rd and 4th round, in which I think Anthony actually had a few of his teeth knocked out. Well, I think at that point Glover had actually earned himself a title shot, but it wasn't meant to be. He was put up against another top contender in Thiago Santos, his Brazilian counterpart, who is known for being a very dangerous puncher. In fact, Thiago is one of the few people who has a knockout win over the current champion and Glover's opponent Jan Blachowicz. Well, that fight didn't go Thiago's way, and Glover's experience and Glover's momentum came to the forefront when he actually submitted Thiago Santos via choke, and at this point it was undeniable that Glover, after a 7-year-long wait, was finally ready for his second shot at UFC Gold. Now standing across from him and in his way is the Polish powerhouse Jan Blachowicz. Now Jan's journey hasn't been that different from Glover's. He's similarly aged in that he is in his late 30s and he's had a bit of a rocky road leading up to his reign as champion. Let's take a look at Jan's last 5. Another perfect record, which means this man has been on song. His winning streak extends to 6 fights and his performances, which brought him the title, have been impressive to say the least. Let's look at the bottom of that list. The first performance on there was his knockout of Luke Rockhold. Luke had just moved up to light heavyweight after tremendous problems cutting weight at 185 and ended up eating a left hand from Jan, and that legendary Polish power put Rockhold's lights out. After that, Jan was obviously a very serious contender in that division. He went on to have some very memorable fights. The ones that come to mind immediately are his performances against Dominic the Dominator Reyes and of course his title defense against the last stylebender Israel Adesanya. So when he fought Dominic Reyes, that was for the vacant light heavyweight belt, and Dominic had been a very impressive contender up until that point. He had dropped a very close decision to Jon Jones and everybody thought Dominic might actually be the favoured man going into that bout. Well, Jan's legendary Polish power would state otherwise. I still remember the first turning point in that fight. There was a kick that Jan threw up and it caught Dominic on his side and it caused a massive red welt. And I'm pretty sure that it either cracked a rib or caused some serious internal bleeding because Dominic was done from that point on. His lungs were gone, he didn't seem to be able to breathe right, and well, Jan actually moved in and closed the show, winning the title in dominant fashion. He of course went on to defend his belt for the first time in a super fight against the middleweight champion, the last style bender Israel Adesanya, who was at that point undefeated as a middleweight and known for picking people apart from a distance and nullifying their attributes and advantages like size and power and wrestling ability. But in this case, Jan's power proved to be a little too much. He's not known as a particularly technical striker, but he was able to stand with Izzy. He was able to nullify Izzy's striking and then take over in the grappling and wrestling exchanges. He put Izzy on the ground, and for once, Izzy wasn't able to escape. His power, his experience, and his well-rounded ability really came to the forefront, and Jan is now the light heavyweight champion, holding one defense against a very capable Israel Adesanya. Now let's talk about the matchup between these two gentlemen. Glover is the older guy coming in at 41 years of age. He's got a few more miles on him than Jan does, and he has taken, in my opinion, a little more damage and a few more beatings over the years than Jan Blachowicz. While I do side with Jan on this, I think Jan is going in as the favorite and he might come out on top. I wouldn't dismiss Glover's chances. If anything, Glover has proven that he is hardy, he does not give up, and he can get better with age. I mean, look at the performances and look at his improvements over the years. Despite being stopped by top contenders, taking some devastating losses in his career, he has persisted and he has overcome. And if that Anthony Smith fight was anything to go by, is that Jan should not underestimate Glover. I think this one's going to be particularly competitive, and I'm pretty excited to see what the main event holds for us in UFC 267. Do check out all our other pre-fight breakdowns. We've covered 4 of the most popular fights on that card, and I can't wait to catch up with the event. So coming to you live from Abu Dhabi, check your local listings. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you in another set of videos.